He's been delivering clever one-liners and stealing scenes on the HBO hit series Silicon Valley. But actor Kumail Nanjiani is a man of many talents. He's a successful stand-up comic, writer, voiceover talent, and podcast host. Now he stars in a cross-cultural comedy he co-wrote with his wife, Emily Gordon. It's basically their love story with all the laughs, heartaches, and learned lessons for the world to see. We caught up with Kumail in New York to find out why he wanted to share his intimate world with all of us.
So your first name sounds Muslim. Your last name is very Sindhi.
I don't actually know where the name is from. I know it's a very rare name, and the only other family I've found is in India that isn't connected to our family. But Nanjiani is pretty, I know almost every Nanjiani. I'm definitely the only Kumail Nanjiani in the world. I've looked that up, and there's no other Kumail Nanjianis.
So it's finally here, your labor of love, the big sick. How do you feel?
Terrified.
Terrified?
Yeah, no, I'm excited. You work so hard on something, it took us so long. It's been 5 years since we first started working on it. So at this point, I'm just excited that people are gonna get to watch it. It's been so long we've been working on it, and then we showed it at Sundance, so that was exciting. Nobody had seen it until then, and then finally, it's a strange feeling because nobody had seen it, and then 24 hours later, like 4,000 people in a very small town have seen it. But then since then, we played a couple festivals, but other than critics, not many people have seen it. So I'm just like, I just wanted to be out there. It's hard because usually I work on something and then I'm sort of done with it, and then it comes up months later. But with this, I've been involved the entire time. So usually at some point you're like, that job's over, move on to the next one. But this hasn't been like that. So I'm just excited to have it come out, and hopefully everyone goes to see it.
I have to tell you something, babe. I've been dating this girl. She's white.
A white girl? Hey, you can't look like you and yell white girl.
It's okay. We hate terrorists.
This movie is based on your true love story about you and your wife, Emily Gordon. She also co-wrote the movie with you.
Yes.
Take me through the emotions from when you wrote it to performing it.
It's about a pretty traumatic point in our lives, although the movie is a comedy and it is very funny. So writing it was tricky because you kind of had to go back and think about some pretty bad stuff that you don't want to think about. Generally, you're not like, I'm gonna eat breakfast and then sit and think about the time the woman I love was in a coma for 8 days. But you kind of have to do that. So that was very emotional writing it, but it was actually helpful. And then once we wrote it all down, performing it was mostly very fun because we had an amazing cast. We have Anupam and Holly and Ray and everybody and Zoe. So shooting it was very fun, except there were a couple very intense scenes that were like, there were some scenes that I cried when I first wrote them, I cried when I rewrote them, I cried when I rehearsed, and then I cried when we shot it.
Are you judging Pakistan's next top model?
You know how we have arranged marriage in my culture?
Oh my God, I'm so stupid. Can you imagine a world in which we end up together?
I don't know.
Was Emily always on board with the project from the get-go, or was there some hesitation for you to share your personal story with the world?
Emily had a little more hesitation than I did because I'm a stand-up comedian. So for me, I take my life and make jokes about it. So I'd sort of gotten desensitized to it. But Emily was like, right in the beginning, Emily was a little hesitant. She was like, this is a very personal story. This is really about us. Do we want to put this out there and have everyone see it? And so she was a little more reticent, but then she sort of came on board because she realized, only we have this story, and if we don't tell this story, then the story just doesn't get told.
I think I'm just gonna wait anyway.
You guys broke up. I'm not sure why you're here.
I'm just gonna stay for a second. Is this seat? Okay. Is that lady still looking at me?
Being an American Pakistani actor, do you still feel stereotyped in Hollywood?
I've seen it get a little bit better. When I first started auditioning, it was definitely the parts that you would guess. Like, guess what parts I would have.
A terrorist?
That's so racist. But yes, it was all, I like that was the first one you thought of. Yeah, it was all parts like that, but I think now there's a little more opportunity for us to play characters that aren't defined solely by our ethnicity. Obviously, our ethnicity is still part of it, and it has to be, it should be, it shouldn't be ignored, but it shouldn't be the only thing about us, about the character that's interesting, and in the beginning it really was. So I think it's changing a little bit. It's still, you know, we still have a long way to go.
So, 9/11. I've always wanted to have a conversation with people.
You've never talked to people about 9/11?
I just hope people come out feeling a little more optimistic and hopeful than they went in. I hope they just come out feeling that that different types of people can get together and be friendly.
I think I screwed up with your daughter.
Yeah, you did.
Let me give you some advice, Kumail. Love isn't easy. That's why they call it love.